What's up, y'all? Welcome back to a brand new video. My name is Shane Wilson, and I'm back with another movie ranking video. This is the fourth part in my series where I'm going through other people. So far, I'm doing my family. I've done my wife Destiny, my brother Sawyer, and my mom Stephanie. And today, I'm going to be ranking the top 10 favorite movies, or rating, I guess not ranking, rating the top 10 favorite movies of my sister-in-law Olivia. So I know it's been a little while since I've been able to put out one of these videos. It's just because I can't watch as many movies as I used to be able to. Don't have as much time, but I'm figuring it out. I'm watching them anyways. I just want to say this. This is going to be a ranking out of 100. Um, I like to preface this before all these videos is that if a movie gets a low rating, that doesn't mean I don't think it should be in someone's favorites. It's just this is not how good of a movie I think it is. It's just literally based off of my enjoyment of it. Which maybe I should do it based on how good of a movie it is, but I don't think that would be as fun. So I'm doing it based off my enjoyment of these movies. Yeah. Anyways, so this is a little bit of a spoiler, but not really. Olivia's movies are really consistent. Like, really, all of them other than one are within like a 1.5 point range of each other. So good job for consistency. Thank you, Olivia, for going through and sending me this list and figuring out the top 10 movies. I know it's tough. I appreciate you doing it. And so looking at her list is kind of funny. It has like, I'll say 8 movies that are traditionally like considered more, like seven movies, 7 or 8 movies that are considered more like, usually women like them stereotypically. I enjoyed them, and I don't think there are boy movies and girl movies. I think that's a very juvenile way to think. But these movies typically are like female movies, and then one that's just like a really good movie, and then there's a wild card on here, right? And we'll save the wild card for last. You may know what it is if you know Olivia. But we're just going to get into it. First, we're going to start with a movie that I have actually rated before. It was on my mom's top 10 list as well, and that is Pride and Prejudice. The 2005, I believe, is when it came out, the 2005 version with Keira Knightley as Elizabeth and Matthew McFadden, a.k.a. Tom Wambsgans, a.k.a. Mr. Darcy. This is just a really good romance, a good romantic drama, a good historical drama. The leads have great chemistry with each other. I've said this before. I said this in my last one. They have great chemistry, but it's not like sexual chemistry because it's like they're not physically intimate, but like just their conversations, the way they look at each other. I think they do touch a little bit, but like just the chemistry is so good. It's a very strong supporting cast, and it just feels like a very timeless movie. And I don't mean timeless in the sense that it came out in 2005 and it's old like that, because that's not that old. I mean more in the sense that it's a movie that takes place in 18th century England based on a book that came out in the 19th century, I believe. And it's like relatable. And I mean, it's been adapted so many times in modern remakes. But, anyways, I give it an 8 out of 10. Next, we have The Devil Wears Prada, so this movie stands on the back, to me, of the performances of, obviously, Meryl Streep, who I'll talk a little bit more about later, because she's featured in another one of these movies, and Anne Hathaway. Also, great supporting cast, specifically Emily Blunt and Stanley Tucci. And fun. This is just a random fun fact that I learned while I was reading about this movie. It's one of the most expensively costumed films in history, which is just like such a weird, cool thing. But anyways, I personally am not huge into fashion. So this is the movie that I can watch, I can enjoy, I can see that it's a good movie, but it's not necessarily one that I'll go back and rewatch, which rewatchability is a big thing for me. I had seen it before, I rewatched it for this, and yeah, I enjoy this movie. It's not bad by any means. It's just not exactly my cup of tea to get a super high score, so it lands at a 7 out of 10. Now next, we're going to move to one of the great classic rom-coms of the 90s, You've Got Mail, which I had actually never seen prior to this. I love a good rom-com, and I love Tom Hanks, so I don't know how I hadn't seen it. I have to say, this movie did underwhelm me slightly, and that's only because it's just like I've heard so much about it. Like, it's one of like the rom-coms that you hear all about. Again, it's just like Devil Wears Prada. It's not bad by any means, but I would say it's definitely not towards my top tier, my favorite rom-coms. I honestly don't even know if I personally would call it a rom com. Yes, it is. It does have a little bit of comedy, but to me, it's more of just like a romantic movie with a little bit of comedy, not a romantic comedy, if that makes sense. I do absolutely love Tom Hanks, though, so it'd be hard for any movie that he's in, especially starring in, to not be enjoyed by me. So, again, a 7 out of 10. So, this next movie is one that this doesn't happen to me very often because movies are something I really enjoy reading and reading about and researching. I had never heard of this movie. When Olivia sent me the list, I had to confirm. I confirmed with her like multiple times, like, "Hey, is this the right movie?" Before I watched it, just because I wanted to make sure. It is Sabrina, but specifically the 1995 remake. I know there was a version. I believe it came out. I want to say. I actually don't want to guess because if I get like the whole if I get the whole decade wrong, that's kind of embarrassing. 1954 is when the first one came out, starring, I believe, Audrey Hepburn. But this was the 1995 version, is the one that Olivia liked. And so, like I said, I typically know at least a little bit about a movie going into it. I knew that this was a romantic movie. I could just tell that based on the poster and stuff. But I had no expectations for it, which is just really fun coming into a movie with no expectations. And honestly, I was really pleased. It was a really fun movie. Harrison Ford was super charismatic. I believe his name is Greg Kinnear. He plays the brother, and he was also in You've Got Mail. He was really good. Julia Ormond, who played Sabrina, who I actually don't know, she was extremely enjoyable to watch, though. I really liked this movie. I would honestly recommend it to anyone that likes romantic movies. Again, I don't know if I would say it's a rom-com. It's kind of like a romantic dramedy, which I know is just combining three like genres. But I'd say if you like romantic movies, you should go watch this if you haven't seen it. Maybe I should watch the original because I mean, usually the original is better, but I actually don't know because I haven't seen it. So a 7.5 out of 10 for Sabrina. Now we're going to keep it moving to Singing in the Rain, which is a good rom-com that's also a musical, obviously. I think the comedy in this movie holds up so well for a movie that came out 80 years ago, or however, yeah, like 70, 80 years ago. The dance numbers are awesome, which I'm sure contributes to Olivia's love for it. Gene Kelly and Debbie Reynolds are great. They have great chemistry with each other. Donald O'Connor, who plays the friend Cosmo, I think is his name, is hilarious. Both he has good funny lines, but also great physical comedy, super well done. Songs are catchy, they're iconic. I mean, this is such a timeless film, and I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Now, next up, we have The Parent Trap, which Olivia said that she really liked both. When she sent me her list, she said she likes the old one and the new one. I think she said she does prefer the newer one. But I honestly think they would probably get like the same or very similar ratings. I'm going to talk about the 1998 version, which is starring Lindsay Lohan and Lindsay Lohan. This is a very feel-good movie. It's funny, it's sweet, it's a good family movie. The ensemble is really good, like the whole cast of characters, especially the parents, Natasha Richardson and Dennis Quaid, who I'll add is quite a hunk in this movie, giving off major DILF vibes for sure. My main praise, honestly, for this one and the original, which came out in 1961, is the special effects are so well done to portray the twins. It's like I'm shocked, especially in the 60s, that they decided to go that route and not just have twins play it. Like, I know twins, maybe good twin actors or young actresses could be hard to find, but I feel like it wouldn't have been harder than what they did. But it holds up so well for a movie that came out in the 60s. Same thing with the 1998 version. I know it's not quite as impressive since it's 30 plus years later, but it's still really impressive how well it holds up. Like, it doesn't look like bad CGI. It just looks like there's two Lindsay Lohans on the screen. It's very seamless. That, to me, is just the most impressive thing. Anyways, 8 out of 10. Now we're going to go to City of Stars, La La Land. So this movie did something to me that not a lot of movies can do. So I originally watched it one time back in 2019 while I was on a cruise. My brother and I were just chilling in the room. We were kind of tired, so we were like, we're just gonna watch a movie. However, I don't know how we ended up on it. We ended up watching La La Land. I thought it was super boring. I did not enjoy it at all. and I would say that publicly to people. But I did want to do my due diligence since I had just kind of watched at it while doing other stuff and was tired, whatever. So I wanted to do my due diligence. I rewatched it, and I really enjoyed it. Which is like and so the thing that it did that not a lot of movies I feel like can do for me is it just like completely flip flopped from going to a movie that I would have been like, no, it sucks, to a movie that's really good. So, first of all, I love Ryan Gosling. Maybe I just didn't share the same love I had for Ryan Gosling now back then, which I would imagine that is mostly in part to his kinergy that he just exudes. I can appreciate that Emma Stone is like one of the best actresses of the 21st century. And there's some brief performances in there that are good as well. J.K. Simmons, John Legend, but obviously Ryan Gosling, Emma Stone carry this movie. It's like there's really not like it doesn't even feel like there's other characters. It's just them, and I mean that in a good way. Their chemistry is so good, which I guess is why they've made multiple movies together. The songs are good. I think it's one of the best musicals of the century. The dance numbers are so well choreographed, which I say as someone whose entire dance knowledge is based off watching Dancing with the Stars, who actually has used this, they used to use the same choreographer that choreographed this movie, Mandy Moore. Anyways, that doesn't make sense. That there's no reason for me to tell you that. Also, Mandy Moore did the Eras tour. But I want to thank Olivia for putting this on her list so that I would go rewatch it and change my view on it. That's how you know you're growing as an individual, is when you can change your opinions based on things. So, thank you for that. Thank you for the self growth that you've given me, Olivia. I appreciate that. 8 out of 10 for La La Land. Next, we have Julie and Julia. Again, a movie that just exceeded my expectations, and I'm so glad I watched it. It's such a cool story that makes a great premise. Like that is just such a cool thing that was that's just like a real thing that happened, and then it was just, it's like as soon as it happened, it's, to me it's the kind of thing where it's like, of course this should be a movie. It's such a good idea. I didn't realize that it was like transitions back and forth between Julie and Julia. I thought maybe it was like they would meet at some point, or their stories would, I know they came together because she was writing the book and she was working out of the book. But I mean, like, I thought they would come together at some point. But honestly, the fact that they didn't, and the fact that it's kind of just two stories that are only related through this book, is kind of cool. To me, this movie, I'm not going to say that it's like, oh, I watched this movie and realized that Meryl Streep is the best actress ever, because I think I kind of already knew that. But it's just seeing another one of these performances where she's just playing, one, a real figure, which I think is harder than playing a made-up person or a made-up character. But it just like, this just showed me like how big of a gap there is between Meryl Streep and whoever is at number 2 and everyone else. Anyway, Stanley Tucci, again, another supporting role by Meryl Streep. He was great. Want to give him a shout out. I really enjoyed Chris Messina, I believe is his name, as Julie's husband. Eric Powell, I think was the character's name. And Amy Adams gave a very good, heartfelt, relatable performance. She's just somebody who's working a miserable job, hates her commute, doesn't love where she's living, is having maybe a little bit of a tough time in her marriage, but she's like, I want to do something. I want to set a goal for myself, and I'm going to achieve it. Great movie, 8.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. Now we're going to move to a movie that, before I even get into it, I'll tell you what it is. It's The Truman Show. I just want to talk about the premise before I'd even talk about the movie. I genuinely think that this is one of the best original premises for a movie ever. If not, this may be one of the best, I don't know. Just like, what a good idea. And what's even more impressive than the idea is the execution. They pull it off. This movie is so good. It's not a waste of a good premise. Jim Carrey gives what I believe is the best performance of his career, followed closely by The Grinch, of course. The supporting cast, again, I try to shout out the supporting cast whenever I can. I don't want to just be on the focus on the stars, but they're really good. But obviously Jim Carrey stole the show. I really enjoyed Ed Harris in this movie as well, though. This to me is I really enjoyed it, and it's also one of the best movies ever made. Not like top 10, but probably like top 50, top 75, which I know is a lot, but you got to think there are probably, I don't even know. I wonder how many movies there have been ever made. Like, is it dumb to say like hundreds of thousands of movies? Like, is that too many? I don't think it is, because I mean, I don't know. This is something else. There's a lot of movies, and this is one of the best. If you look at how many movies there are, very small percentage, this makes it. And again, really enjoyable. 10 out of 10. Now the wild card. If you know Olivia, you may see this coming. It's Cars 2. So I'm going to go on a rant here for a second. Okay? I'm going to sit up. This is for all you people that are Cars 2 haters, which is a surprisingly very large group that a lot of people are very passionate about. What the heck are you mad about? I understand that this doesn't have the deep meaning or whatever you want out of a Pixar movie. But let me keep this in mind. Only some Pixar movies have that. Some of their, not all of them have that, first of all. But I understand that this movie's silly. And I understand that maybe it going into a spy movie is kind of weird. But keep in mind, this is a kid's movie about talking cars named Lightning McQueen and Mater. I'm sorry, if you weren't expecting something silly and a little dumb, that's on you. You got to change your expectations. This is something that I do a lot, is I'll get disappointed by a movie or a show or whatever just because my expectations are so high. So I've kind of had to alter my own expectations, not even specific things, but just in general to not hype stuff up too much. But that's on you if you were expecting to come into some life-changing movie. Yes, it's silly. Yes, it's dumb. But that's exactly what it's supposed to be. It's a movie about talking cars. Again, if you have an issue with it being about spies and not racing, I don't know, are you just a big racing fan? There's tons of other racing movies. Go watch one of those. I don't know what to tell you here. I really enjoy Cars 2. I don't understand the hate. I think it's just the kind of thing where they got a couple of negative reviews, so everyone just decided, yeah, we're going to hate on Cars 2. And I'm not saying it's the best Pixar movie. In all honesty, it is probably towards the bottom, if not at the bottom of Pixar movies. I don't think it's quite at the bottom, but it's pretty close. But that's okay. All of Pixar's movies are good. Every single one of them. So come on. I don't understand it. Find something else to hate on than a kids movie about cars. What? I don't know. That's just, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I went on that rant. I've been holding that in for a long time. I really need to get it out. Rant over. I really like Cars 2. Ka-chow. 8 out of 10. For me to go on that big rant, you'd think I was going to give it a 10. No, I just give it an 8. I'm not saying it's a perfect movie. It's just a good movie. And go hate on something else. Put your time and effort into something more useful. Anyways. So, total. Olivia is going to get a drum roll, please. An 80 out of 100. Which I will say, I've only done 4 of these, and that is 4th, so I guess it is technically last. But it's really not by much. I think the other ones are... Destiny is in first place with an 85. Sorry, my mom both got an 84. Olivia's at an 80. So that's not that far behind. I still think that's really good, especially when I was looking at this list. I was a little skeptical. I was like, I don't know how good this one is going to do. But I enjoyed a lot of these movies. I'm really glad that I watched a lot of them because honestly, if it wasn't for this, there's a lot of movies that I probably would not have ever watched, like Sabrina. I don't know if I would have watched Julie and Julia. Other movies like that, that's just... I'm happy for it. I enjoyed this experience. Thank you, Olivia, for doing this. I hope you all enjoyed this video. And stay tuned. The next one, not my next video, but the next movie video like this will be my dad's movies. I'm working on that right now. I just started on those. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for the next video. Peace.